Welcome back in, guys, to JE Live. This is the post-game show following the Rams win over the Minnesota Vikings 30-23. They advance to 11-4 on the season, first place solely in the NFC West, and they clinch a playoff berth in the 2021-22 playoffs. So, pretty crazy stuff today. We finally saw the Rams have to win despite the poor quarterback play of Matthew Stafford. We talked about that for those of you who weren't in the pregame. We talked about the fact, look, there are teams, the Browns, they had an opportunity to win that game despite the fact that Baker Mayfield threw 4 interceptions yesterday. Rams, they control a game in which Stafford threw 3. Now, I understand one was tipped. I understand one, he had his arm hit while he was throwing. But let's be honest. Stafford didn't look like Stafford today. He struggled. He did not have that juice that you normally see in his arm. And because of that, Odell Beckham Jr. likely could have had 2 touchdowns, only ended up with 1. Because of that, Matthew Stafford, who at least throws about 2 to 3 touchdowns a game, he ends up with 1. Because of that, this game was a lot closer than it could have been. Regardless, the Rams on the road beat Minnesota, a team that was playing for something in this one. Rams obviously were playing for something, but Minnesota here is in deep trouble. So they needed to win this game. Make no mistake about it, they were playing a team that had some urgency. And coming into this game, without Dalvin Cook, I thought they did a nice job early on. They get Alexander Mattison going on an 18-yard run. They get him going in the passing attack. But the Rams, once again, came to play. I said it before, and I'll say it again. On TV, going through the game, being at the game, the defense, they give up chunk plays, and it makes you think that they're struggling. But at the end of the day, you look at the final result, and, what would you know? Alexander Mattison, 13 carries, 41 yards, and a touchdown. Touchdown, I'll give you credit. That's 3.2 yards per carry, folks. That is not very good. And the Rams held him under 4, which is, that's a great job by them. They got 4.3 given up by Kirk Cousins. Let's be real here. That's not even the running game. And Kene Nwangu, I don't even know how to say that guy's name, but he ran 5 runs for 8 yards, which is a 1.6 average. So the Rams defense came to play today. They had those moments. They gave up some explosive plays. Cousins still threw for 315, but at the end of the day, it only amounted to 23 points, which held Minnesota below their average on the season, around the 25 mark. The Rams go over their 27.6 average for the season, putting 30 on the board. Really enjoyed this game. Thought it was exciting. Despite the fact that Matthew Stafford had one of those games where, obviously he'll want some of that back, but regardless, they won. Now, I don't think he cares. Plus, as Roy mentioned, thank you everyone who's joining. Be sure to hit the thumbs up if you're enjoying this video or like whatever it's called on your platform. As Roy's mentioning, we found a punt returner / kick returner. Okay. Brandon Powell looks so good. And it's not just that one play. Like, we've seen it. Brandon Powell has this sense of urgency. He doesn't sit there and dance. He doesn't try to find a lane. He reads it. He catches the ball, and then he's gone. He's off and running. So, really like the contribution that they got out of Brandon Powell, in this game. And I think for the future, he needs to be extended. I thought, Larrick Jackson played pretty well, which was surprising. This is a team that really, they lead the league in sacks, and they did not sack Stafford once. Not once. The Rams got to Cousins 3 times in this one. The Vikings, who lead the league in sacks, did not sack Matthew Stafford once. Great job played by guys that stepped up. And once again, what does that show you? 3 straight weeks in a row, guys are out because of COVID or an injury, and the Rams show heart. But furthermore, what's so impressive about this win, it's not just the fact that, it's not even just the fact that Whitworth was out and that Nopum was out. They dealt with an injury to Brian Allen, Darrell Henderson, Ernest Jones, and Sony Michel took on the entire load today. 27 carries, going for 131 yards. It's 4.9 per carry and a touchdown. Really showed up. On top of that, you look on the side of Ernest Jones being out. You get an interception from the guy that comes in, Traven Howard, 2 pass breakups, 5 tackles, 4 solo. He was great today in that need. And then, of course, the offensive line. I thought they all played very well. Yeah, sure, we can nitpick at moments, but we're not going to. We're going to enjoy this, and we're going to, discuss the fact that this offense, had their back against the wall with those interceptions, and, they still were able to make plays, and the offensive line was still able to block for Sony Michel, and they were still able to keep Stafford upright. Stafford didn't deal with a ton of pressure today, and he didn't get sacked, so I thought they did a nice job all in all. And keep in mind, you win this game, you get past these injuries, it really is a confidence booster. You're riding this winning streak now. I mean, let's call it like it is. They've won 4 straight since they lost 3 straight. So this team has figured it out. Whatever it was, they figured it out. I think we can all imagine what it was. But I think that's really important to point out is that, things didn't go well in that stretch, and they made adjustments, and you can see it. It's a completely different rushing attack. Higbee was huge today. Night and day this offense looks when Tyler Higbee is in, because he can not only block, but as I said pregame, he keeps the defense honest. They have to respect him. It's not like Kendall Blanton and Bryson Hopkins, who you and I may want to see get opportunities. It's Tyler Higbee as a legitimate NFL starting tight end, and teams have to defend that. And so he had some chances in this one, going for 5 catches for 41 yards, helping out the passing attack. Once again, Odell, 4 catches, 37 yards and a touchdown, just continuing to help the Rams. What a cancer he is, right? Cooper Kupp, 10 catches, 109 yards. He did not find the end zone. The Rams are 9-0 when he finds the end zone, but they didn't need him today, apparently, to find the end zone. But Cooper Kupp now, things become very interesting because he is in a very good position to break that record. He's in a very good position to break the record. So, I think he's going to break it. Which is really cool. I believe Sosa Kermenius on Twitter, he put up, he needs 231 yards over the next 2 games to break Calvin Johnson's single season receiving record. That's an average of 115.5 yards per game. Kupp season average is 115.6. We'll love to see him get 232 yards next week and break the record in, 16 games, but that's probably not going to happen. So there'll always be a little asterisk next to it, but hey, it doesn't really matter, right? So how's everyone doing? Got to feel pretty good about the win. I understand we're going to nitpick the whole, Stafford playing bad thing. I look at it more, silver lining here, they were able to play well. Despite Stafford not. And I think that's a big thing. Cooper Kupp did something no NFL receiver's ever done. 10 straight games over 100, or I think it's 11. No, I think it's 10 actually. I think the record's 10 straight games over 100 yards. I don't think a receiver's ever done that. They said it on the broadcast. NFL receiver's never done what he's done. The streak he has right now going over 90 and 100. Just incredible. The consistency is just unreal. So, they're killing it. Brandon, thank you so much for donating. Great playoff clinching win today. Stafford was off and it was annoying, but stepped up at the end. Sony has been beasting. Defense held it down. Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to, playing complementary football. You got to love to see it. You get some good contribution from the special teams, getting a special teams touchdown. Keep that in mind. That punt return touchdown, that changed the game. That game could have gone bad. I know McVay is going to use the word complementary and football next to it. because this is a complimentary type of football game. But all three phases, another thing he'll use in his post game, all three phases really came to play. Okay, the special teams unit had a little bit of a hiccup, although I'm going to put that more on Ben Skoranek being out of place than the entire unit. But hey, they came up with the onside kick. Van Jefferson comes up with it. And then on top of it, you get a punt return touchdown, which you don't see every day. You actually don't see much at all anymore. There's only been 2 the whole season. And, I mean, we could get into what has been called back and all of that, but I'll avoid that topic for now. But, you know, there's been 2 punt return touchdowns this season. There's been Jakeem Grant, which happened pretty recently on Primetime Football against the Packers. And then the one you just saw with Brandon Powell, who's killing it. So, yeah, feeling really good about him. I'm sure a lot of people are. But, you know, to get the contribution you're getting out of Sony Michel, and, you know, I hope Darrell Henderson's okay, but there's a good chance his knee injury could be season-ending. And I'm not trying to speculate, but when you see a team right off the bat, after a guy suffers an injury, rule him out for the rest of the game, that's not good. So, you know, I think guys like Brian Allen that were held out, like they were saying Brian Allen wanted to get back in and play. I think Brian Allen probably could have, but they were like, there's no need. The offensive line is playing fine. We don't want to risk you. You're our Pro Bowl alternate center, you know? Like, we need you. So I understood that. You know, Ernest Jones, they took a while to announce that he was out. So I have hope that even though he suffered a knee injury, I have hope that he's going to be okay. But Henderson, literally 2 plays later, they announced that he's out. Period. Like, done. And I don't think they did that as if, well, hold on, like, we'll need you for later. You know, we're not, because that's the running back spot. Like, you know, you can't have Sony Michel running every single time. You got to give him a breather. So to see them that quick to say, nope, you know, he's out for the game, that's concerning. Now, here's the thing. It was ruled it said a knee injury. So it looked like an ankle, and I thought it was an ankle, but it said it was a knee injury for both of them. That's what I had. That's what I had seen. So, I mean, that could be wrong. I mean, that's certainly possible, but so if it is an ankle, I apologize. I mean, really what's going to come down to is that we're probably going to see like Gurley CJ in the playoffs against the Cowboys, you know, in 2018. We're probably going to end up seeing that with Akers and Michel. Michel's playing his way into another contract. That's what we're seeing right now. You know, Henderson's still on another year. They don't have to make a decision because he's on a rookie deal. But Sony Michel is playing his way into getting extended next year. Like, he is playing his way onto this team and this team's future. And when you look around the league, you have Zeke Elliott, Tony Pollard. You know, you have, with the Bills. I mean, they're all over the place. They got Singletary. They got, Breida. They got Zach Moss. You know, the Patriots. They like going with Stevenson, and they like going with, what's his name? I totally butchered his name. Damian Harris. You know, the Jets, I mean, they have a stable of running backs. You know, Ty Johnson, they got Michael Carter, they got Tevin Coleman. Those are just names on the top of my head. But the point is, this league is very running back by committee oriented. And with, you know, Cam Akers suffering an Achilles tear in his second year in the NFL, I don't think the Rams are necessarily just going to be like, yeah, Cam Akers 30 carries a game, no problem at all. No, I think they're going to keep him, you know, managed. And so for that reason, I think what Sony Michel is doing is he's playing his way onto this roster next year. That's how I see it. So there's a good chance that we're going to see those two in the playoffs as a tandem, and I think it'd be good for the Rams. I would have said the same thing about Henderson, but I really don't have a good feeling about Henderson's injury. Higbee and Odell were huge today. So I do think Sony Michel is he played his way into it. Like, or he at least is doing it right now. Like, he's been very efficient, you know, since he's taken over as a starter. I mean, he's almost past Henderson in rushing yards. He's got 5, or did he pass him? I don't know if that's updated or not. No, I think he's got 597 on the year. So I don't know if that's updated. Maybe it's not. Actually, there's one way for me to find out. I'll let you know. Henderson had a nice 17-yard run that I thought kind of showed the complementary aspect of having two running backs that are different. You know, they offer different abilities. No, because... No, he had 597 coming into this game. So, I mean, Sony Michel has to be at what? He's got to be over 700. Yeah, he's got to be over 700 yards rushing at this point. DeReal A-Dog, thank you so much for donating. Jake McVay scares me when he stops running the ball. I mean, hell, the Vikings couldn't stop us at all, and I think that led to them. Yeah, I mean, you're right. It concerns me when they stop running the football when you have a defense that has shown no ability to stop running to stop the run. I mean, they just dominated them. Like, let's call it like it is. I mean, they absolutely dominated them with the run. The Rams averaged 4.8 yards per carry on 33 carries for 159 total yards. Rams dominated on the ground. What's up, Nolan? I just, that it was frustrating to see them go away from the run. And I think there's, if they didn't go away from the run the first drive, where, they threw 3 fades, they probably would have scored on that drive. They would have scored a touchdown. This game could have been a lot different. So, no, I agree with you. That was, like I said, we can be nitpicky all we want, but at the end of the day, when you go in on the road and you go into a hostile environment like Minnesota, I mean, that crowd is loud. You go into that environment and you pick up the W, your 11th win of the season. I mean, that says something. That took heart. So, especially with Whitworth out, Noteboom out, Brian Allen getting hurt early on, having to shuffle the whole offensive line around because you didn't end up going with David Edwards at left tackle, even though he's playing well. You decided David Edwards at left guard makes a lot of sense. We'll kick Shelton over to center, and we're going to play the rookie, Alaric Jackson, the UDFA. We're going to play him at left tackle. That was a huge opportunity for him. He definitely earned some points today. I think this coaching staff is very high on him, and we found that out today. I mean, they're obviously like huge on this guy long term if they're going to have him start in a game that had playoff implications. So, that's what I'll say about that. But hope everyone's doing well. What is your... I remember the panic meter, right? We did the 1 to 10. Where's the panic meter right now? And no, what was it? Approval rating, right? A lot of people said like 7. Where are you guys at now? 1 to 10. What is your approval rating of the Rams right now? Sitting at 11-4, and right now until the Cowboys play, if you were to load up the NFC playoff picture, which I'm doing right now just to make sure because I'm almost positive it's the case, but yeah, the Rams would be the 2 seed. So where are you? Okay, 10, 8, 8, 8. Yeah, the COVID thing for the Rams drive me crazy, absolutely. 7 again, offense is shaky. 9, 6, Stafford has me scared. 9.2, 8.5. I still have a hard time giving Stafford in inconsistency. Stink couldn't stop singing the praise of AD. He was a beast all day. No, I absolutely agree. 10, 7.5, 8 or 9, solid. Don't trust Stafford. 7, slowly getting to 8, but offense has to be better. Still 7, play calling is an issue in injuries. We're in the playoffs. 9.25, 8 out of 10. I want more balanced calling. That's about my only complaint. 9.5, 7.5, 8, 9. If they keep running the ball consistently. Oh, gotcha. So that's, I understand what you're saying. 8 and Boots still shaking because of Stafford. 4 because of COVID scare in the short week. Stafford could be better, but they'll get it right. 8 worried about Stafford. I'm going to say this. I'm not worried about Stafford. He played a bad game. I mean, it happens. It does. It's a matter of, when your quarterback plays bad, can you step up? And that's what they did. So I'm not too worried. Right now, for those of you who don't know, the playoff picture is as follows. The Green Bay Packers have the first seed in the NFC. The Rams have the 2 seed, sitting there at 11-4. Green Bay Packers at 12-3. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers clinch the playoffs as well as the Rams and Packers. They have the 11-4 record, and they are the 3rd seed. Dallas tonight will take over the 2nd seed. Rams will fall to the 3rd if they win. And they are the 4th seed, 10-4. Arizona, 5th seed, 10-5. They have also clinched a playoff berth because the Rams beat Minnesota. One of those weird circumstances where, YouTube suggested LA Rams, Jake Ellenbogen. What's up, Jake? How's it going? 6th seed is New England. They unfortunately dropped that matchup to... sorry, I'm looking at the AFC. 6th seed are the San Francisco 49ers. They 8-7. They lost to the Titans on Thursday. So they're the 6th seed. And the 7th seed, Philadelphia, they had an easy win today against the Giants. They won't have it as easy moving forward. They'll have to really earn it. So the Vikings do fall out of the NFC playoff picture. Looking at next week, we'll just assume that Dallas wins tonight. I'll just fill in the blanks here, whatever. So, okay. So week 17, the Rams have Baltimore. If they win, they want the Packers to lose the next 2 games to get the number 1 seed. So the Packers have to lose the next 2 games. The Rams need 1 loss from Dallas, and that's it. So it has gotten to the point the Rams took care of business in this game. They have to win the next 2. If the Packers lose the next 2, they're playing 1 game against a team that needs to win out to have a shot in the Vikings, and they're playing another team that could have Jared Goff back, and this team is going, they're going to play their heart out. So they will be playing like that's their playoff. That's the last game of the season for the Lions. So, Dan Campbell will have them ready to go. Do I see the Packers losing 2 straight? No. Realistically, if the Packers won yesterday, I would have had a feeling that maybe the Packers drop one of those games. I don't see them losing both. But, it's possible. The Rams, it's also possible they don't win the next 2. They got to take care of business. That game against Baltimore, Lamar Jackson could be back. That game could be tough. Cold, that's a playoff atmosphere. We're talking about cold weather Baltimore, in January. This is the last game of, 2021. So keep that in mind. Matthew, thank you so much for donating. I think Stafford flashbacks to Detroit Gunslinger having to risk to win. Seems like that, at times. I also think, Sean McVay needs to realize, look, things were working well with the run game. You don't need to go into the empty set and play backyard football like that. You just don't. So, I think it's a combination of them. Stafford obviously has to make the throws. Jake Linking, appreciate you. Subscribe to Jake. His analysis is the best I've ever heard. Appreciate you, Jake. Really do appreciate you, man. Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, the Rams can win out. We know that. I kind of feel like they're going to, because if you look, if they go back to playing the same football they played during that 3-game losing streak against the Niners, they will not beat the Niners, okay? If they abandon the run, they will not. But maybe, just maybe, if they play this style of football, they can beat them. I understand the Niners turn into a completely different animal when they play against the Rams for whatever reason. But the Rams, they have a shot to knock the Niners out week 18, depending on how things go, knock them out of the playoffs, and turn around and potentially win the number 1 seed if the Packers also, that's still in play. So we'll see where that game goes. That could be a primetime game. It's going to be at SoFi. So it's not like they're going to San Francisco, hostile environment, road game. They're going to be playing at home. And the hope is they get the 2 seed. They don't get the 1 seed. That sucks, right? But you kind of figured they weren't going to when they lost that game to the Packers, okay? And if they don't get the 1 seed, it's not the end of the world, because here's the thing, guys. If they have the 2 seed, that means they're going to have home field advantage until they play in the NFC title game, assuming the Packers make it. And if the Packers don't make it, the Rams will literally play a home game all throughout the rest of the year. So hear me out when I say this. The Rams have their last road game. They beat Minnesota. That was great. Went on the road. They beat Baltimore, and there's a chance that they wouldn't have another road game. Because hear me out when I say this. If they get the 2nd seed, they're playing at home throughout the playoffs. And if the Packers drop one of their games and they don't play Green Bay, they host the NFC title game. And if they go to the Super Bowl is literally in LA at SoFi Stadium, which is their home stadium. So they have a chance to just end literally the rest of this season, the 2021 through 2022 season. This could be their last road game against the Ravens. Like, this next week could be the last time they play on the road in 2021 through 2022. That's what I'm saying. So even if they can't get that 1 seed, they don't get the bye, that sucks. But I would argue there is a chance that playing might help. Because if you don't recall, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they had to come out and they had to play wild card. They were a 5th seed and they won it all. Sometimes being in that rhythm, you're late in the season, right? Your body, a lot of these players, their body clock, so to speak, they're like, okay, this is around, like, we're past bye week. You know, it's time to go out there and play football. Like, we're not going to get any more breaks until the season ends. But what I want to point out is you get the bye, and it's almost as if, like, it just changes things. Like, I mean, honestly, look at New England. New England's lost 2 of the last 3 games since they came off the bye. You know? Actually, I think they've lost 2 straight since they came off the bye. They had the latest bye week of anybody. It was like week 14, and they've lost 2 straight. So I guess what I'm saying is, it might not be the worst thing if the Rams do have to play at Wild Card Weekend. I understand they have to play another game. I understand that's just more work. But when you're in the flow of things, you can build momentum, and you can carry that momentum, and you can get hot. You could also cool off and get rusty and cold and be off if you go in coming off a bye week. So, to me, I kind of feel like having a bye would be great, but I could also see how it could end up, for whatever reason, hurting them. So the goal should be getting the 2 seed, staying put where you are, but you do need Dallas to lose a 1 game the rest of the year. And that's why I'm going to tell you guys, it may sound weird, but as this fly just continues to, it may sound weird, but Arizona, week 17 against Dallas is the game that is so important. As long as the Rams take care of business on their end, Dallas loses to Arizona. You root for Arizona for 1 week. Arizona knocks Dallas off, and the Rams lock up the 2 seed as long as they win out. That's it. And they have nowhere to go but up, because if the Packers fall off, then they would get the 1. But I'm just saying, you get the 2 seed, and you're playing a lot of home games come playoff time in a row. Now, the one thing I wouldn't want to do is with the Niners, you don't want to be matched up with the Niners. You don't. I don't care who you're playing. I don't care about the Niners winning the last 5 games. It does not matter, frankly. You don't want to play against a team that you just played in week 18 in the wild card round, regardless of outcome. You just don't. That's the last thing I want. a long season, all these injuries, you've gone through all this. I don't care if you're at home. That spells disaster to me if you're going against the same team back-to-back weeks with no bye in between. That is a disaster. So I would personally not love that. But with the way next week goes, depending on it, so if it went the way I think it'll go, and I'm just going to fill in the NFC here on my list, I kind of feel like Philly is going to lose to Washington next week. Okay? I kind of feel that way. And then I think, with the Niners, I think they knock off Houston. And I think with, Minnesota, I think they're going to lose to the Packers. So with that, you look and you're like, okay, who's next? The Saints. I think the Saints knock off Carolina. So if that holds, week 17 through week 17, the Rams would be the second seed playing the Niners in the first round. So then you go to week 18, and week 18, assuming the Cardinals knock off Seattle, the Rams say they beat the Niners, and we'll say Tampa Bay wins one, Dallas and Philly. I think Philly could win that game. But if they don't, then Dallas, losing that game to the Cardinals is everything for the Rams. That's why I'm saying you have to root for the Cardinals next week. Washington versus Giants, I would go with Washington. Vikings against Chicago, doesn't matter. And as long as the Saints take care of business against the Falcons, then despite the fact the Rams beat San Francisco would make the playoffs in 9-8, and they would be the 7th seed playing the Rams back-to-back weeks. And I don't love that. Actually, I hate it. But that's what we're looking at here. So, let's just say if the Falcons beat the Saints, it's still the same. So they beat 9-8 both. That's assuming the Saints, the Saints beat Carolina in week 17, and they beat Miami. So would it almost be better to root for the Dolphins on Monday Night Football? Because then it pushes San Francisco up, so they would have to play Tampa, and I don't think Tampa matches up well with the Niners, in my opinion. That's just my opinion, but I wouldn't want to play them if I were the Niners. Falcons are going to lose to Buffalo, so Washington, with this, the way I see it, if the Eagles don't win against Washington and they lose to Dallas, with everything that I have here, Washington could be the team the Rams play in the first round with a losing record. So the next 2 weeks are going to be crazy. Really, you want the Texans. In a perfect world, you'd want the Texans to knock off the Niners. In a perfect world, you're hoping the Titans that was the last hurrah. The Titans just ruined the Niners. The Niners aren't going to be able to come back, and they lose 3 straight. But we know how the NFL works, and that's not necessarily, you can't always write it up. It's very unpredictable. The NFL isn't always as predictable as people want to make it out to be. So, if the Niners lose to the Texans with everything, Niners would still make the playoffs with everything I have at 8-9. There'd be 2 teams in the NFC making the playoffs at 8-9, and the Rams would still play them. So if you don't understand what I'm saying, the Niners can still make the playoffs at 8-9. They can lose 2 games. Washington beats Philly. If Washington doesn't beat Philly, the Niners still make it. So Washington beats Philly next week. And then, looking at this, there's not much that can go down, because if Minnesota can't beat Green Bay, the Niners are golden. So that's the thing. It's like the Niners are almost guaranteed to make the playoffs despite losing to the Titans the way things are going down, so to speak. So that's kind of weird. Green Bay is going to, I think Green Bay is going to be the number 1 seed, though. What's up, Ashton? How we doing? Yeah, Rams Ravens is going to be really tough. So, I mean, with the games left tonight, who are you rooting for? Probably Washington. I mean, like you would want Washington to knock off Dallas. If Washington knocks off Dallas and Dallas still has to play Arizona and they could lose that game, the Rams could lose a game, and with Arizona losing another game, they could potentially still get the number 2 seed, losing one of the next two. So, if we're talking in terms of seeding, Washington makes the most sense to win tonight. That would help their chances. You'd want Washington to win. There's no NFC games at 4 that actually matter to the playoff race. Sorry, the Seahawks are not making it. They're just not. So, I mean, Seattle, we'll say they beat the Lions, and then they'd have to beat the Cardinals. If they beat the Cardinals, that would give Minnesota the edge. So Seattle would be playing, if Minnesota beat, let's see. If Minnesota beats the Bears, what do the Rams have to do to play Washington? Washington is going to be the 7th seed. I mean, maybe they could get the 6, possibly, but trying to watch the Bears is painful. That's funny. Just kind of looking at this, though, I mean, there's not a lot that can really go down here. Let's say if the Falcons beat the Bills next week. The Falcons, if they win out, they could knock out not Patriots. They could knock out the 49ers. But the 49ers, basically, if they beat the Texans, there's a very, very, very good chance they're going to make the playoffs. There's only a small chance the Rams can knock them out, looking at this. So if the Niners lose to the Texans, then the Falcons could still get in. God, I cannot even believe the Falcons have a chance of getting in the playoffs. What's up, Ted? How you doing? I mean, realistically speaking, I'm going to do a realistic one. I'm just going to do win percentage. Assuming everything stays the way it is. The best teams in each game win. If that's the case, then, hold on a sec. If I do that, then it automatically has them tie. Okay, so assuming the Saints win, they would have the 6th seed, play the Rams, who would be the 3 seed. If the Rams and Cowboys win out, they would be the 3 seed. What's up, Brian? Good to see you too. Thank you for being in here. Okay, so if everything stays the way it is, and the top teams win the games, all that, whatever, and giving the Saints the win against Miami at home, if that happens, Green Bay at 1, 2 is Dallas, 3 are the Rams, 4 Tampa. They all host playoff games. Dallas hosts San Francisco, and the Rams get New Orleans, headed to SoFi the first round of the playoffs. The Cardinals have to go to Tampa. So that is the most likely scenario, is that the Rams would probably end up with the 3 seed if Dallas can't get things together. So the Rams are looking at playing a lot of teams that they have history with. The Eagles, who they've struggled with, obviously late in the season. They've lost twice. They beat them, last year, I believe. They beat them badly. But prior to that, they've had history with. The Saints, we know the history with. The Niners, obviously, we know the history with. The Vikings, they played, So then Washington, who they beat 30-10 last year, who has completely changed from that team that we saw last year. Ever since that game, they've been completely different. So there's not many other teams that would even be in play here. I mean, say the Falcons win out. If the Falcons win out, all it does is it would add Philly to the mix. So the Saints actually hold a lot of the cards here. So, pretty crazy. A lot of stuff. Lots of stuff. And if I could actually get playoff, I want to see. There's always one. There's an article by New York Times. Oh, here it is. Every team's playoff chances. So right now, the Rams clinched. Cardinals clinched. 49ers have a 69% chance of making the playoffs. Seahawks have a less than 1% chance of making the playoffs. Panthers are eliminated. Falcons have a 2% chance. Saints are 50%. Vikings have a 15% chance. Washington has a 10% chance. Philly has a 53% chance. So you're likely looking at the Niners making the playoffs. The question is, are they going to play the Rams or not? And that's what we don't know. So the next two weeks are going to be crazy. Yeah, the next 2 weeks are going to be crazy. I'm thinking, let's see, the Niners. One second. They got it all figured out on here. The New York Times, I mean. Let's see. Okay, 69% chance. If the Niners win against the Texans, it goes up to a 75% chance based on 31,000 simulations. If the Niners lose to the Texans, it goes down to a 45% chance of them making the playoffs. If they lose to the Rams as well and they lose out, the Niners have a 11% chance of making the playoffs. If the Niners beat the Texans but lose to the Rams, they have about a 59% chance of making the playoffs. And if the Niners win out, they have a 95% chance of making the playoffs. So that's how that would work for San Francisco, depending. So now the Rams, we're going to do the Rams percentage, right? We already know they're making the playoffs. They've clinched. So now we're going to do the scenario to get the number 1 seed. To get the number 1 seed, the Rams have to pretty much win out. So if the Rams beat the Ravens, that percentage, which is 1% right now, they have a 1% chance of getting the 1 seed. If they, oh no, that's not correct. 2% chance of getting the 1 seed as it stands right now. If the Rams beat the Ravens, that goes up to a 5% chance. Okay, 5% chance of getting the 1 seed. And if they beat the 49ers, they have a 7% chance of getting the 1 seed. So then we look at the 2 seed. And so the Rams, if they beat the Ravens, they have a 46% chance of getting the 2 seed. And if they win out, they are 73% likely to get the 2 seed. To get the 3 seed right now, if they don't, say as of right now, to get the 3 seed, they're 25% chance. So New York Times simulations are actually favoring the Rams to take over the 2 seed. They're not as high on the Dallas Cowboys based on their simulations. So the Rams went out and they have about a 20% chance of getting the 3 seed. So right now, New York Times thinks the Rams are going to get the 2 seed. Okay. Let's see. As far as, win the division, New York Times has the Rams. Oh, I did get a wild card. New York Times has the Rams at, 72% right now to win the division. If they beat the Ravens, they're at a 91%. And if they win out, they win the division. So I don't know if a 3 seed is so much better. I don't know. It really depends. It's matchup based. But yeah, that's how that looks right now. With Dallas, think about this. To get the number 2 seed, they're giving Dallas a 13% chance to get the number 2 seed. Okay? If they win against Washington, New York Times gives them an 18% chance. If they beat the Cardinals, that percentage goes up to 28%. And if they beat the Eagles, that goes to 47%. Which I'm actually not sure as to why. So if the Rams win out, I guess it would have to be a 3-way tie? Am I not understanding this? I think Dallas must have the 3-way. Okay, hold on a second. That doesn't make any sense. I need to know this now. Because if they tie, I don't see how that changes anything. Let's see. That's so weird because they have them getting the 2 seed. Or they don't have them getting the 2 seed. They say a 46% chance of getting the 2 seed even if the Rams win out. There's got to be something off with this. If the Rams win out, Dallas has a 47% chance of getting the 2 seed. That can't be right. That's got to be a glitch. Is it because they have a better chance of getting the 1 seed? That might be the case. That is probably what it is. Because there's no way that the Rams, because it's conference record, so the Rams can't get the tiebreaker over the Cowboys. So assuming the Packers win out. Okay. All right. It was the Packers. We got it. Yeah. So there's no way that Dallas doesn't get the 2 seed as long as they win out. If they win out, they get the 2 seed. That simple. They control their own destiny. The Rams control their own destiny. Tampa Bay controls their own destiny, although Tampa Bay's already clinched the division. Arizona does not, actually. So that's actually worth mentioning. They have made the playoffs, but as far as controlling their own destiny, they do not. If they lose to Seattle and Dallas, they have a 77% chance of getting the 5 seed. So you have to keep that in mind. Yeah, back-to-back against the Niners is just not at all fun. I don't want that. I don't think anybody wants that. It's not that they can't beat the Niners. It's the fact you don't want to play the same team twice. Back-to-back. Without a bye. We're seeing that. We just saw that the other not long ago. It was the Ravens and Browns. Ravens and Browns played. They went into a bye, and then they played again out of the bye. But we haven't seen back-to-back weeks. They don't schedule that. So that would just be, I'm sure it's happened many times. It just would be a brutal event for the Rams. So, if the Rams win out, they get the 3rd seed. If Dallas, of course, wins out. So the way it stays right now, if the Rams win out, Dallas wins out, they get the 3rd seed. 99% likely to get the 3rd seed. But if they win out and Dallas loses, then they'll get the 2 seed. Yeah, that's brutal. That is just brutal. That's my issue. That's why I'm like, when people are like, well, what do you mean, like, you're worried? Like, I'm not, it's not that I don't think the Rams are capable of beating the Niners, even though they've shown that they can. I do think that they'd beat the Niners. I'm just saying that, you know, asking this team to go and beat a team that they, you know, just played again seems ridiculous. By the way, the Rams Super Bowl odds went up today. This is intriguing. So, according to New York Times, the Bengals, actually, their Super Bowl odds went up. The Bills have an 8% chance of going to the Super Bowl. That is tied for... Oh, no, sorry. That's wrong. The Chiefs have a 21% chance of going to the Super Bowl in the AFC. In the NFC, you have the Rams at 7%, the Bucs at 9%, the Packers at 15%, Cowboys at 8%. The next after that, the Niners at 3 are tied with Arizona at 3 based on simulation. So, I mean, right now, I think everyone's projection is Packers, Chiefs, but, you know, there's a lot more football to go. And we'll see. I mean, I'm not watching anything right now because I'm live with you guys, but, you know, it's a big day for for Pittsburgh. We'll see what they can do. Oh, they're down 14-0. Okay. Yeah, but they're going to have to, they're definitely going to have to step up because Pittsburgh needs this win if they want to make the playoffs. If Kansas City wins this game, man, like they got a tough road ahead of them regardless, because they win this game, they're 11-4, but going to Cincy and to Denver to end the season, that is brutal. So they're playing very well and they're capable, but yeah. Jacob, the Rams beat Ravens and Dallas beats Cards. Rams win division. Will the Rams rest guys week 18? No. Okay. So I understand why they could, but no, I don't think that they would rest him. I think they'd play him for, they play him 2 to 3 quarters because they're playing him next week. But I don't think they'd rest him, no. Like, I don't think that they would, like, outright not play. Yeah, I mean, the 3rd seed could still have you play in the Niners. We don't really know what the best seed is. I mean, all we know is that the 2nd seed would guarantee you a home playoff game until the NFC Championship. That's all we know. So there's no way to really know. Let's see. Be sure to hit the thumbs up, like this video. Also, sorry for those of you who used my Prize Picks play. We got kind of screwed over. So Mixon missed it by 4 yards. Miles Sanders had it, 45, on pace, hurts his hand, out for the game. Stafford played like crap, and we got Kupp and Antonio Brown. So, I always show my hits and my misses, so here it is. Bummer. Yeah, that was a bummer. Yeah, I don't think we're going to win the million FanDuel, but hey, if you used my FanDuel lineup, it probably helped you win some money. Look at that. Bam. So, Niners fan for life is breaking my brain malfunctioning. Yeah, he's not a Niners fan, clearly. Philadelphia are playing well. Jake, they can give a team a run for their money come playoff time. I don't know. I think Philadelphia's defense is solid. Their offense has been a bit erratic. I think the Rams would beat Philly. I'd feel pretty comfortable about the Rams playing Philly. I think they match up pretty well. If I could pick a matchup for the first round, I mean, it would be Atlanta. Because Atlanta is not a playoff caliber team. They're just not. So if Atlanta somehow just limped into the playoffs, I'd want to play them in a heartbeat. Plus, I'd want revenge from 2017. I'm still not over that. I'm a bitter person. But yeah, I would take Atlanta. But then I would have Atlanta, and then I would take the Eagles, and then I'd take Washington. Then I would take the Saints, and then I would take the Vikings, and then I'd take the Niners. That is the order I would take those teams in. Out of the teams that they could possibly play, I think the easiest teams are the Falcons and Eagles. I think the hardest teams to go against in the first round are the Niners and the Vikings. Vikings and Niners because familiarity factor. Vikings already played you once. They lost by 7 to you. And the Niners, they'd be playing you 3 times in the season. So, and we know what the Niners are to the Rams, kryptonite. So, yeah. It's hard to run against the Saints. You know, Saints shut out Tom Brady and the Bucs. So I'm not exactly thrilled about the idea of playing the Saints either. I mean, if you're hoping for the easiest path, you would probably want the Falcons. You'd probably want to start rooting for the Falcons in some crazy scenarios to help out those Atlanta fans. That way they can get their playoff berth out of nowhere, have everyone be shocked. I just, I mean, I'll look at it. Let's see, what would Atlanta have to do? They'd have to win out, obviously. And even if they win out, they'd still have a 25% chance. That's a 75% chance of not making it, despite beating the Bills and Saints, which is just ridiculous. But let's just, let's humor ourselves for a second. So they're saying the big factor here, for the Falcons, if Cowboys beat the football team on Sunday Night Football, that would be a 29%, assuming they win out. So we haven't done the other teams yet. So then week 17, the big one here would be, of course, better for the Falcons. If the football team wins or loses to the Cowboys and they beat the Eagles, then the Falcons all of a sudden, as long as they win out, have a 51% chance of making the playoffs. So then it's the Texans and the Niners. If by God the Texans win, this would increase their percentage to 71% chance of making the playoffs. And if the Packers beat the Vikings, the Falcons now, all of a sudden, as long as they win out, have an 81% chance of making the playoffs. And then week 18, they would need the Rams to beat the Niners, and that is it. That's it. They make the playoffs. So the Falcons need, I think, one of those two scenarios. So if the Cowboys all right, here are the scenarios for the Rams to play the easiest team to play in the playoffs. The Falcons win out against the Bills and the Saints. And then this Sunday night, Cowboys beat the football team. Week 17, the football team beats the Eagles. Texans beat the Niners. Packers beat the Vikings. Keep in mind, Falcons still have to go to Buffalo and beat Buffalo. And then week 18, the Falcons beat the Saints in Atlanta to end the season. And then one of these two things have to happen. Either the Rams beat the Niners or the Cowboys beat the Eagles. And if that happens, I don't know. I can't believe I'm saying it, but Atlanta would make the playoffs. The job Arthur Smith has done with that incredibly deflated roster is just marvelous to me. I think he's done an outstanding job in Atlanta. The fact that this team even has a shot is crazy to me. I mean, let's just assume that the Niners knock off the Texans, since that's pretty likely. Then the Niners game doesn't matter to the Rams. Like, the Rams-Niners game doesn't matter to the Falcons. So then, if the Cowboys beat the Eagles, that would have to be it. If the Cowboys beat the Eagles, they make the playoffs even still. So that's my thing. Is like, the Falcons don't need a ton to go right. If you're looking at this, Cowboys just have to win tonight for them. They have to win out. Then they need Washington to beat Philly. They need the Packers to beat the Vikings. And they need the Cowboys to beat the Eagles. The Falcons, they have a shot. That's crazy. Falcons have a shot to make the playoffs. That is insane. They're 7-8 right now. If they lost today, they would have been in deep, like very hot water. My point about the Falcons and why I'm bringing them up, if you're just joining, if you are a Rams fan and you want to choose who to play, if you could choose, you would pick the Falcons. They're the only team, they're the weakest NFC team that's still alive. That's the team you'd want to have the first round. And that's who you'd play if you were the 2 seed. But what if the football team beats the Cowboys? Then they have about a 50-50 chance of making the playoffs. So you want the Cowboys to win tonight if you are the Falcons or a Rams fan that wants to play the Falcons. If the Eagles beat the football team, you have no chance of making the playoffs. You are eliminated. So that is how that works. Pretty crazy. Really cool simulator over on New York Times. Definitely check it out if you haven't already. So, let's see. Jake, opinion on the collapse of the Chargers. Pretty unfortunate, even though it feels good to own LA. Yeah, it's weird. This is a team that scores a ton of points, and yet, they have 408 on the season, and they've given up 411. So, I mean, they're 8-7 now. I mean, that division is wide open. I mean, I understand the Chiefs have pretty much taken over, and they'll clinch it today if they win. But, it's crazy. Like, you're talking 8-7, 7-7, 7-7. I thought the Chiefs, not the Chiefs, I thought the Chargers were a lock to make the playoffs. I had them going to the Super Bowl to play the Rams. I don't think that's the case anymore. I kind of have a feeling it could be Rams and Chiefs. Chiefs are playing very well, very well. And, they got it figured out on defense. If it's not the Chiefs, I could see the Colts. I wouldn't count out the Patriots. I don't really love a lot of teams in the AFC, though. Based on, play. I mean, I'm not, a fan of the Chiefs. I'm just telling you that they're really good. It's just not hard to imagine. Be sure to give this a thumbs up. Let's get over 100 before I log off this thing. Would really appreciate it. We'll be doing some streams throughout the week. Podcasts will be on the channel. We're at 96 likes, so if you guys could hit that thumbs up button for me, I would really appreciate it. Yeah, but it's weird. The NFL's just weird this year. I don't know. It's the best way I could put it. It just feels weird. I mean, if you're interested, I could go through the AFC. I mean, I don't know. The AFC to me just feels kind of Like, it's so up in the air. Like, the NFC isn't figured out by any stretch, but you have an idea of who the top 5 teams will be. Maybe even top 6. But, I mean, the AFC is not even close to figured out. Just going through, like... I mean, the Chiefs have... They're clinched, I think. Kansas City. But they clinched today, if they win. So, yeah, if they win against the Steelers, they clinch the playoffs. If they lose to the Steelers, they lose to the Bengals, they lose to the Broncos. They still have an 82% chance of making the playoffs. You think the Packers are winning it all? Curious at the Colts. So if they beat the Raiders and the Jaguars, they'd make the playoffs 100%. Oh, if they beat the Raiders, they make it. If they win one of them, they make the playoffs. Gotcha. Wonder if can the Colts win the division? It's a little unlikely. About 14% chance, even if they went out. Interesting. Buffalo Bills winning today. That changed things. If the Bills beat the Falcons and beat the Jets, they make the playoffs. They lose to the Falcons and they beat the Jets. They have a 46% chance of making the playoffs. That is insane. Oh, no, that's to win the division. Never mind. They would still make the playoffs, I would imagine. Yeah. Bills clinch a playoff spot as long as they win one game. So if they beat the Jets or Falcons, they clinch a playoff spot. Yeah, we'll see. But regardless if Lamar plays or not, the Rams have to be able to take care of business. That simple. You know? There's a chance the Ravens lose out. I mean, they got blown out today by the Bengals. They could lose to the Rams, and then they play the Steelers to end the season. There's a chance that they lose all 3 games. Who knows? Steelers would have a 70% chance of making the playoffs. Even if they lose the Chiefs today, if they beat the Browns and Ravens, they lose to the Chiefs, they make the playoffs. If they beat the Chiefs, they win out, they make the playoffs, simply put. But they're going to be about 70% regardless of who they lose to. They have to win 2 of the next 3 to make it. Curious about Denver. Denver beats the Raiders. They have a 6% chance of making the playoffs. If they beat the Chargers, 15%. And if they beat the Chiefs, they win out, they have a 44% chance of making the playoffs. So that's tough. Yeah, the AFC is just going to be an absolute bloodbath. Yeah, I mean, the Packers would have to lose out, and the Rams would have to win out. Or Dallas. Well, Dallas or the Rams have to win out. And the Packers would have to lose the next 2. Hey, you guys know from the get-go, if you've been following me, I said before the season started, regardless of what happens, I said Rams, Chargers, and I have the Rams winning the Super Bowl. And I don't normally pick the Rams to win the Super Bowl, but I looked at this team when they got Stafford. It was before they got OBJ, before they got Vaughn. They're going to get Cam back, when the postseason starts. I don't know. I'm very confident in my pick. Obviously, see it to believe it, but I feel good about this team. I really do. I mean, the Rams clinched going at least 11-6. Because they're 11-4 right now. So they could either go 11-6, 12-5, or 13-4. I wouldn't be really confident if the Rams went up against the Niners in the playoffs back-to-back weeks, but I am confident in the Rams going against the Niners again because I think they're a completely different team. I think the Rams have changed what they do, and I think they wouldn't. Well, hopefully, I mean, McVay would keep things going, but yeah, I feel pretty good about that. You love that 3rd seed, don't you? All right. Well, guys, appreciate you tuning in. A lot of fun. Appreciate you helping me get over 100 plays. Or 1,000. No. Well, I don't even know what I'm saying. 100 likes. Thank you, God. No, it's been a lot of fun. I'll be doing streams throughout the week. And, maybe some other stuff. But that's going to do it for me. So hope you guys enjoy. I'll see you guys soon. Go Rams. Later.